Another day, another distress call. IMAS activated and ships deployed. Nothing found. It's a simple but harsh reality of this system that not everyone gets rescued. However, on this day, a simple distress call would kick off a chain of events that would lead to the largest conflict in the system's recent history. This is the story of the Executor and the Battle of Vihar.
Well, we're at Quag's Combination Raceway and Trailer Park, but...
The Executor was a Sirius-class destroyer from the 11th Destroyer Flotilla, under the command of Zachariah Sterling. A year ago, she was declared missing, presumed lost with all hands. 3 weeks ago, IMAS detected her distress call. An attempt to find her would be unsuccessful. Another ship presumably lost to time. A second garbled message, however, would change all of that. Space-based antennas, along with a skeleton key, would receive what essentially amounted to raw data. A week later, the message had been pieced back together and reads as follows. We have been attacked by an unknown near the gas giant of this system. Navigation has no idea where we are, and the chief engineer has informed me the engines work fine, but the circuits are unable to be. If anyone receives this, please send help. We are taking refuge in the rings of the gas giant, hopefully mask our signature long enough to effect repairs. It was clear somewhere in the rings of the gas giant lay a vessel in distress, and the frequency of choice was one used by 191st. Admiral Richter Sterling put out a call to arms. Corsair Heavy Engineering, System Local Defense Force, the New Haven Coalition, and even a support vessel from Dragonfly would answer the call. This would be, to date, the largest gathering of factional forces in the system, and it drew attention.
That could have been the hit there.
Main secondary battery's still on opening up for some reason. I'm still not sure what the issue is.
Strike, your shields are mistuned. They don't cover the ship, by the way. They're in the wrong spot.
Oh, what radar?
Helping the missiles, they seem to like me more than they like the enemy.
Double check all missile launches, make sure they're not set to targets friendly. The Corrido has also got launched.
Mine were for a bit, I fixed that issue.
Carousel classes, engine out.
While this battle was raging on, the support elements of the operation, consisting of the medical frigate Reliant and the resupply ship Newwire, deployed to the fallback location. These ships would be screened by the Dragonfly ship Spotted Newt.
I piloted the Newt in the recent battle with DRA. I was running point defense for the Newwire. A stray assert drone decided to wander in. I had to take that down. Rammed into me and damaged the shields some, but otherwise the Newt was completely fine.
the DRA assault on the staging area thwarted, the coalition of Allied ships formed up into two main task forces. Task Force Galvanize, led by the Corvair-class cruiser Cormorant, aimed to secure the area, then sweep surrounding sectors for any threats. Following them would be Task Force Quantum, comprising the bulk of coalition forces. Their job would be to secure the ship and protect it from any possible aggressors.
Well, after we had assisted the main fleet in securing the wreck of the 191st ship, I cannot recall the name of that down vessel, but we were ordered to formulate a small boarding party. So I used the NHC Sentry as a makeshift shield for the wreck, so that if any more contact came, that it would be the first thing that gets hit rather than the people on board the wreck. We gathered personnel,
Lovely voluntold.
mainly from SLDF, as they had a dropship, along with a few others from 191st and a few doctors, and we went onto the ship to find out if there are any survivors, from which we found out there were none.
As the search continued, information regarding the ship's final fate and the final fate of the crew themselves was uncovered. DRA wouldn't let the rescue go unimpeded, however.
And then the DRA showed up. And so anyways, we started blasting.
Let's put it attached. I've been in this war for a long time, so the dead doesn't really faze me much anymore. But when I heard about the 191 dead on Vihar, that's why I almost snapped St. Victor.
As the last of the DRA ships fell, information was found that indicated that the survivors may have made for Vihar, an unexplored planet close to the gas giant. After a quick rendezvous with Muwire for resupply, all vessels established a blockade over the planet before deploying ground teams in hopes of finding survivors. But as we know, in this system, not everyone gets rescued.
That's my son laying there!
The Coalition have found what remained of the crew, lying murdered in the bombed-out remains of a hastily constructed shelter. It was here that the identity of the ship and her captain were finally confirmed: Zachariah Sterling. To say that the Admiral took the murder of his son personally would be an understatement.
That's when it started kind of going downhill. It was a massacre. Not for us, but for the people who were already there, and it could have been a massacre for us when those DRA ships started showing up in orbit.
Unfortunately, an incident occurred with some 191st personnel that caused them to go AWOL due to a misidentified treatment by their auto-dock systems.
Attempting to correct for the excessive stress the Admiral was under, the autodock had overloaded the Admiral's system with an aggressive combination of stimulants and sedatives, making a medical emergency almost inevitable. With time of the essence and a man's life hanging in the balance, the system rallied around the hospital ship, reliant, desperate to save at least one life today. But as we all know, in this system, not everyone gets rescued. DRA for the third time today dropped in on top of the formation, an advanced Dravis bombarding the effort, attempting to peel back the Coalition's defenses and finish the job the autodock had started. But the system, we said no. Not everyone gets rescued, but we were past the point of giving a fuck about odds. We were going to do some goddamn rescuing anyway. Every ship was involved in screening Reliant long enough to escape. Some like Resurgency took on the threat handedly, while others like Spotted Newt paid dearly for their contributions. Their efforts would be a success, however, and Reliant would escape with the Admiral. With this objective completed, the objective now shifted. Make DRA pay.
And that was when I had ordered Captain Sharps. Even though he's by technicality a higher rank than me, I ordered him to take the helm, and I went to commandeer the 191st fighter, as it was just drifting at that point. I cut my way into the cockpit of it, scrubbed away the blood that was in the cockpit, may or may not have hotwired the thing to turn back on, got it up and running, and started engaging DRA with that fighter.
As the battle unfolded, a new issue emerged. The CHE destroyer Saloon had lost her pilot, and the DRA were bearing down on her.
Yeah, that was not good. That last battle kind of skipped over a lot of it. Real embarrassing. Turned out our pilot hit his head on basically every wall.
What? No. I was awake all the time. Like what? Nah.
Knocked himself unconscious, and he stopped right next to the biggest fucking DRA ship I've ever seen in my life. And turns out we built that DD strong, but it was not strong enough. It got fucked.
The Coalition rallied around their immobilized warship, shielding her from fire with their own hulls. The situation was beginning to get desperate as the DRA threw themselves again and again against the cordon. More advanced ships, more fire. But the system had had enough. In the universal language of violence, we proclaimed, not one more step, not one more person, you get nothing else today.
We appreciate our allies for coming to assistance and keeping that ship alive. They are not cheap. We cannot afford to just, lose those fuckers all day.
And as both sides raged against each other, with our lives hanging in the balance, the DRA blinked first. In that instant, we showed that we would not be silently hunted, and that while the DRA was still dangerous, we would come together to punch them in the face.
The fleet did a wonderful job. I ask that every leader stand forth, do your best, keep the system safe until I'm back. I rely on each and every one of you to do your best, prevent the DRA from getting a foothold, and keep driving forward.
The Delta Rim must die. That's all I'm going to say. I have had far too long of fighting them and taken far too many losses. It's time to go away.
They're dangerous. Really dangerous.
They're rightful bastards. Pirates. Lowest scum. Enemy of humanity.
They're fuckers! And I don't know why they gotta live right next to my planet. We picked a motherfucking spot all the way out in the middle of nowhere, and they still want to put their ass right next to it. Apparently something, that big fucking planet over there, the gas giant or whatever. Big no-no area. Didn't realize it. Yeah, no, I don't like those guys.
I am coming for you. The might of the 191st will not rest, will not give up, and we will not stop until each and every one of you lie dead in the front of our guns.